Alright guys, I wanted to do a video on this Chicago electric welder, that 90 amp welder from Harbor Freight. I know a lot of people don't know a whole lot about them or are sketchy. Yeah, it's a $90 or it's a $100 welder or 90 amp welder. I don't really want to buy one. Well, me personally, I've had this thing for 7 years. 7 long years of use. I've used this thing a ton, a bunch. I built a trailer with it before. I'm building another trailer with it now. And these are the kind of welds you get out of that welder. They're not the best welds in the world, but they hold up tight. They melt the metal. They do a very good job. Now here's a weld that's really, really bad. This is painted right here. This is not. It does not like to weld through trash. Paint is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to have to cut that off on both sides and redo those, but it does not like to do that. But it will weld, you know, stuff like this, probably about 3/16 inch. This is 1.5 or 1.5 by 3/16 thick angled steel. It's not pretty, but it is melted together. So, and it does hold. It is very strong. It is a very good weld. And I'll be dead honest with you, you're not supposed to do this. But I've got this thing plugged up to an extension cord. So you're not supposed to do that without a welder, I wouldn't think, because you're drawing all that amps, but it works, you know. Yeah, the ground cable, the clamps and the leads are not very long. They don't open up very far. But if you're doing small, like around the house projects, you know, you're not going to do this every day with this welder. It does great for around the house. The only problem that I've had with this welder, I'll show you. Is the die right here. Underneath this piece of plastic there's a die for 0.035 and 0.030 wire, gauge wire. You're supposed to change those dies around. Well, I didn't know that. Like a lot of people, I didn't read the instructions. So I stripped out the 0.030 die and I went to Harbor Freight to get another one, and they gave me another one off of one of those floor models that were all beat up, and I offered to pay for it, and they told me, they said, nah, don't worry about it. So they were very helpful in that. I am using their new Vulcan wire. It's a pretty good wire. Actually, the old Chicago electric wire, it would do a lot of, you would see those little dots here? It would do a lot more of this. And it was actually very ugly and very disgusting. And it was very hard to clean up after. This Vulcan wire does not do that. It is actually a very good wire, I thought, for this welder. Whenever I usually weld, this 1.5 or 1.5 by 3/16, anything on this trailer I've welded, I've been running it on the max down here on the heat level. Now it has a duration of only 2 minutes run time and 8 minutes sitting time for a total of 10 minutes in use on max. But if you're using it and you stop, say if you use it for 30 seconds and then clean the weld, say something like this, it might take you 30 seconds to do, or a little bit less or a little bit more. Say if it only takes you 30 seconds to do that. If you do that for 30 seconds and you stop and say you wanted to clean that off with a brush or a wire wheel or something and clean that off, you can continue to go on the other ends or the other welds and it won't stop. Now I'm not saying that, you know, you can keep going on max. If you do it continuously, like that weld, that took me a little bit of time. It took me about 2 minutes. At the 2 minute mark it does shut off because it does get a little warm. It doesn't get hot, it gets warm, and it will shut off on you. Now this axle, let me see if I can get a good video or a good shot of this axle. There we go. This axle tube is for a 4x8 trailer. There's the actual block where it's supposed to sit on. I got this axle at Tractor Supply. It's a 58-inch hub face axle, 2,000 pound rating. And those are the blocks off the old axle. The old axle was too short. I couldn't make this trailer 4x8. So I went and bought me a new axle and did it right instead of putting washers on the lugs. But anyways, I welded those blocks onto the axle, not knowing what kind of metal or not knowing, what gauge of steel the axle tube is. And it does just fine. It did great. It welded that right in there. I did both sides like that, and they came out both level. The tube went right up on the springs, bolted right up, mounted right up, and I've loved it ever since. The only drawback to this welder that I might have to say, it's $100. It's good for around the house welder. You're not going to use this welder for pipeline work or really heavy duty frame jobs or something like that. Now you can use, like I said, you can use it on a duration of 2 minutes at a time. For what even says it right here on the side of the welder. Yeah. 2 minutes in use followed by at least 8 minutes off in a single 10-minute period. So do not remove, and it's got all these warnings and stuff. But the only downfall of this welder, I would say, it depends on the wire you use. I've used the Lincoln Electric flux core wire. I've used the Chicago Electric brand wire. The best wire I've used so far from Harbor Freight, and this is a Harbor Freight welder. Like I said, the Vulcan wire has been the best wire that I've used on this welder so far. And I've had this welder, like I said, for 6, 7 years now, and use it a lot. So, and I'm sure some people will show you in the videos that this lead is not very flexible. Well, after about 7 years of use, it's pretty flexible. I mean, you can just about do anything with this trigger, this gun, so it is very flexible. And another problem I've had with this, and I've only had to do it once, but the tip where the wire comes out, this welder comes with 2 tips, and it only comes with 2 tips. The first tip burned up because I was inexperienced. I've had the second tip in there for, oh gosh, a lot longer than the first one was in there, probably 4 years now. I haven't had to buy new tips. I haven't had to buy a new anything, leads, wires, nothing. It's been the best welder I've had. And then I've got the Chicago Electric Welding auto darkening helmet. So, oh, there it is. Not much to say on it, it does good. It does real good. I've had it the same length of time that I've had the welder for, and I've used that more than I've used that. I've used that at work. I've taken that to work with me and used it on exhausts and frame jobs and stuff like that. But anyways, long story short, that's a review on the Chicago Electric Welding 90 amp welder. It's a very good welder. If you have $100 and say if that's all you have and you really don't know about one of these and you wanted a good review, this is a very good review. I personally like this. Would I go buy another one? Of course. In a heartbeat. I'd go out and buy another one of these today if I had the money. I love this little welder. It does a great job. I actually had a neighbor of mine. He seen me welding with it, and he went out and bought one the same day. So, that's it. That's the review for this welder. I mean, it does a very good job for what I do with it. It does a really good job. So, like I said, I don't know. 3/16 is pretty thick. 1/4 inch, I don't know much. It does give you some thicknesses in here. I'm not going to bore you with those, but you can see those. I'm not going to talk about them. But this is a very good welder. I'm not sponsored by Harbor Freight whatsoever. This is an independent review. I'm not sponsored by Vulcan. I'm not sponsored by Tractor Supply, none of these companies. Wish I was. It'd be cool. It'd be great. But this welder is a very, very good welder. I really do enjoy using this welder. It makes me happy every day. Hope you guys like the review. Hope you guys consider going out and getting one of these, because I don't know how much longer Harbor Freight will carry these for. I was told the last time I was in there that they were going to discontinue carrying Chicago Electric brand welders and go to that Vulcan brand, and they're a little bit more expensive. So I would hope you consider going out and getting one of these before they are completely gone. Talk to you guys later.